At a restaurant, he threw his napkin down and said, "I need someone who makes me proud, not someone who's still finding herself." He left me with cold food and a silent drive home. Last week, he was assigned to a client whose brand he had to rebuild, and my face was on every billboard when I walked into the room. It started with dinner, not the night everything changed. I mean the very beginning. We'd been dating for almost 3 years. I'd just turned 29. Jason was already deep into his marketing career, already on track to become creative director by 35. He liked clean shirts, the same breakfast every morning, and telling people about 5-year plans. I used to think that meant he was stable, safe, someone to build something with. I, on the other hand, was trying to make my freelance work go somewhere, modeling gigs, brand campaigns, small stuff. I was doing okay, but I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be yet. I think he knew that too. We were at this Italian place we'd been to 100 times, small booths, dim lights, the kind of place where couples shared desserts and held hands across the table. I was telling him about a shoot I'd booked for a local clothing line. Not a big deal, but I was proud. Before I could finish, he sighed, not loudly, but it was enough to shut me up. Then he dropped his napkin on the table and looked me right in the face. "I need someone who makes me proud," he said, "not someone who's still finding herself." That was it. No warning, no discussion. He stood up, walked out, and left me there with a plate of half-eaten food and a waiter who didn't know where to look. I didn't cry in the restaurant. I waited until I got home. The silence on the drive back was loud enough. For months, I thought about that line, "makes me proud." It stuck to me like something I couldn't wash off. I replayed it in the shower, on the train, in bed at night. I kept wondering what it was about me that made him feel embarrassed. Was it that I hadn't made it yet? That my life wasn't all together? I worked harder after that. I stopped second-guessing every move. I stopped trying to fit into what he thought was success. I started taking risks. Real ones, bigger campaigns, branding work. I started showing up like I belonged in the room, and slowly, things shifted. I got an agent, then a manager, then a feature spot with a wellness company that exploded on social media. My face was on ads, on packaging, on sponsored videos, nothing viral or world-changing. But enough to feel like I wasn't just surviving anymore. Then, last week, Marta called. "We've got a client who wants to do a full rebrand," she said. "They asked for you by name. Come into the downtown office Monday morning." So I did. I wore a gray blazer and clean makeup, nothing flashy, just sharp. I walked in and saw his name on the client sheet before I saw his face. Jason R. Project lead. I froze in the hallway for half a second, then I pushed the door open. He was already talking when I stepped in, running through a pitch deck. He stopped mid-sentence when he saw me, his hands dropped to his sides. "Olivia?" He looked different, tired around the eyes, same posture, same tie. I didn't answer him, I just nodded, took my seat, and let Marta steer the meeting. For the next 20 minutes, I watched him pretend like this was fine, like we were fine, like we hadn't been something once. When Marta stepped out to take a call, he came over to me. "I didn't know it was you," he said. "If I'd known." I cut him off. "You said I didn't make you proud," I said. "So it's a little ironic you need my face to save your campaign." He swallowed hard, looked down at the floor. I could see it. The way it was hitting him, the weight of it. I didn't smile. I didn't feel smug. I just felt tired, like something old had finally settled down in me. Later that day, I saw the final drafts, for billboards, scheduled to launch along the main highway into downtown, right on his commute. I approved every single one. The billboards went up the following Monday. Big, clean photos of me with the new brand slogan stretched across the bottom. Marta sent me a picture from her car. I didn't respond. I already knew which one Jason would see first. It was near the underpass, right before the exit to his office. You couldn't miss it, not unless you were trying really hard to. 3 days later, I got a call from someone at the agency, not Marta, someone from Jason's team. Her voice was tight. "We've had some feedback from the client. They're wondering if you'd be open to tweaking the messaging slightly." I asked what kind of tweak. "They said you're coming off too polished, a little too self-assured. They want something more relatable, softer." I almost laughed. "Is this Jason's feedback?" I asked. Silence. "They just want it to feel more approachable," she said eventually. I said no, nicely, but firmly. "They hired me for this look, this tone. That's what I deliver. If that's changed, they can find someone else." 2 hours later, Jason emailed me directly, no subject line. "Can we talk, just you and me? I think things are getting twisted. I never meant to." I didn't finish reading it. The next day, Marta called. She said the client had asked to schedule a lunch, just to clear the air, she said. I almost didn't go, but something in me needed to see what he'd do face to face. We met at a downtown cafe. The kind of place we used to go when we were still playing house. He was already there when I walked in, scrolling his phone like nothing was happening. He stood when he saw me, nervous, overcompensating. Olivia, thanks for coming. I didn't sit right away, just stared at him. You're not here as a client, I said. Let's not pretend this is about work. He looked around, lowered his voice. Okay, then let me just say this. I was wrong, about you, about everything. You didn't need to prove anything to me. And I made you feel like you did. I didn't say anything, just watched him sweat. Then he added, I think about that night a lot. I sat down, slow and quiet. The waiter came by and poured water. We didn't order food. I don't need your apology, I said. I needed it back then, but now? You're just a guy I used to wait on. His jaw tightened. For a second, I could see the mask crack. You're right, he said, but you're not exactly innocent here either. You're not exactly innocent here either. He said it fast, like he'd been holding it in, like he thought it would level the field somehow. I didn't react right away. I just blinked at him. Innocent? I asked, what exactly do you think I did to you? He leaned back in his chair, looked out the window like he was choosing his words carefully. Then he said it. You used us, to sell something. I stared at him. You think I turned our breakup into a marketing strategy? I said. He didn't answer, which told me everything. You were the one who walked out, I said, keeping my voice steady. You left me in a restaurant and made me feel small, and now I'm finally doing okay, and you want to twist that into some kind of personal attack? His eyes got harder. You don't think putting your face on billboards, knowing I'd see them, was a choice? It wasn't about you, but it is about me now. I'm the one who has to explain this campaign. I'm the one answering questions from people who knew us both. I'm the one. I cut him off. You're the one who told me I wasn't enough, who told me you needed someone you could be proud of. You don't get to rewrite that now just because I'm the one with the leverage. He shook his head, mouth tight. This isn't leverage, Olivia. This is bitterness dressed up as confidence. I felt something go cold in my chest, not anger. Just a kind of exhaustion. I didn't ask for any of this, I said. I just stopped apologizing for being who I am. He looked at me for a long time, then, softer, he said, you never used to be this cold. I looked back at him and said, you never used to be this weak. That was the last thing either of us said for a while. The waiter brought over 2 menus we didn't touch. After a few minutes, Jason stood up, said, good luck with everything, and walked out. I didn't watch him go. I just sat there, staring at the condensation sliding down my water glass, wondering if he ever really saw me at all, or if he only ever saw the version he wanted me to be. The day after that lunch, Marta called again. Her voice was clipped. There's something you need to see, she said. It's already circulating in a few circles. She sent me a link. It was a post on a mid-sized industry blog. The headline was vague. When branding gets personal. But the photo wasn't. It was a zoomed-in shot of one of the billboards, me, clear as day, and the article? It hinted at the campaign being a petty move by a disgruntled ex who happened to land in a power position. It didn't say my name, but it didn't have to. 3 anonymous quotes, all sources close to the project. One even said, this is what happens when ego drives branding. I knew where it came from. I called Marta. It's Jason, I said. He's trying to poison the campaign. She was quiet for a second. I think you're right. A few hours later, the brand's founder called me directly. She said she loved the campaign, but she was concerned about the distraction. She said it carefully, but I heard the subtext. They were wondering if keeping me would cause more noise than success. I asked her one question. Is the campaign working? She paused, then said, yes, the numbers are great. Then you've got your answer, I said, but I could feel it slipping. Not the work, the control, the quiet dignity I'd built brick by brick after he walked away. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, but that night, I sat in my apartment with my coat still on and stared at the wall for an hour, because the truth is, I didn't plan this, I didn't orchestrate some grand revenge. I just became someone, and maybe that was always going to be the real revenge, not because it hurt him, but because it showed me how little I ever needed his approval. But still, now he was trying to undo me, not with words to my face, but with whispers behind my back, like the last card he could play was doubt. I haven't responded to the article, I haven't called him out, or corrected the record, because deep down, I know the truth doesn't need defending. Not from people who were never listening in the first place. And if he needs to rewrite the story to sleep at night, then maybe he was never proud of himself either.